Hello and welcome. I'm Vineet Malhotra and you're watching a NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top stories from around the world. India slapped an immediate ban on imports from or via Pakistan after a deadly Kashmir attack on tourists heightens diplomatic tensions in a show of force. Pakistan responds with a missile launch, test firing the 450-kilometer range Abdali weapon system. General election voting closes in Australia. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese wins re-election. Opposition leader Peter Dutton concedes defeat. A Ukrainian drone strike hits Russia's Novorossiysk, damaging a grain terminal and homes. 5 people are injured as the city declares a state of emergency. Ukraine remains silent while Russia claims it fired 183 drones and 2 missiles on Ukrainian targets overnight. President Trump proposes a $163 billion budget cut, slashing funds for education, housing and medical research. The plan boosts Homeland Security spending by nearly 65% as the administration doubles down on immigration enforcement. Israel bombs a site near Damascus, sending a clear message to Syria's new Islamist-led government about protecting the Druze minority. Syria condemns the bombing as a dangerous escalation as Israel increases military action. Germany's Foreign Office defends labeling the AfD as a right-wing extremist party after strong criticism from US officials including Vance and Marco Rubio. The country's intelligence agency says that the AfD promotes exclusion based on ethnicity. Prince Harry says that he's devastated after losing his appeal to reinstate automatic police protection in Britain, a decision the court called predictable after stepping down from royal duties and moving to the US. Harry says he can't safely bring his family back to the UK. At least 6 people are killed and dozens injured in a horrific stampede at a temple in Goa where hundreds had gathered for a sacred Hindu festival. The tragedy unfolds during the Shri Larai Jatra in Shirgaon as panic erupts amid fire-walking rituals and overcrowding under the night sky. Alright, well, Germany is standing firm after its Foreign Office defended the designation of the far-right AfD an extremist party. The classification by the BFV, Germany's domestic intelligence agency, has drawn fire from Washington. US Vice President J.D. Vance compared it to rebuilding the Berlin Wall, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio called the move tyranny in disguise. But Germany hit back, saying its decision came after a thorough, independent probe and invoked the lessons of Nazi history to justify action against what it called dangerous ideology. The BFP said AfD promotes an ethnic definition of citizenship, excluding groups, especially Muslims, from full participation in society. That, it said, is incompatible with the country's democratic principles. Let us take a look at what the German Interior Minister had to say.
Die AfD ist als gesichert rechtsextremistische Partei einzustufen. Denn die AfD verfolgt erwiesenermaßen Bestrebungen gegen die freiheitlich-demokratische Grundordnung. Die AfD vertritt einen ethnischen Volksbegriff, mit dem ganze Bevölkerungsgruppen diskriminiert werden. Bürgerinnen und Bürger mit Migrationsgeschichte werden als Deutsche zweiter Klasse behandelt. Das widerspricht klar der Menschenwürdegarantie des Artikel 1 des Grundgesetzes. Ihre völkische Haltung zeigt sich in rassistischen Äußerungen, vor allem gegen Zugewanderte und Muslime.
The new classification allows expanded surveillance, including phone taps and undercover agents. AfD, which surged to second place in this year's elections with over 20% of the vote, denounced the move as politically motivated. Party leaders claim they are being silenced by the establishment. But as calls grow to consider a full ban, polls show the controversy may be fueling even more support for the party among its base. Dr. Evelyn Menges, lawyer and city corporator of Government of Munich, is joining us from Munich at this point in time. Dr. Evelyn, appreciate you being here. What do you make of this classification and these accusations for AfD? Do they have any basis? Do they have any foundation in fact?
Well, first of all, it's nice to be here again. I have some difficulty in understanding you. But as I learned, you asked me to the opinion of the Vice President of the United States and the State Minister. Well, being a city councillor of the largest city of Munich, I'm not in any position of commenting the political opinions of the highest American politicians. But therefore, I can only say Germany is a very liberal country. Everybody in our country can express their opinion freely. So I don't see any wall being built anywhere.
Right, but there's a 1100-page report in which the AfD has been...
I cannot understand you clearly. Could you please repeat this?
Ma'am, there is a 1100-page report. Can you understand and hear me now?
I understand you quite well now. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Well, there's a 1100-page report which labels the AfD to be a party which is racist and anti-Muslim in nature. And this is something which has not been taken lightly by German allies as well. What do you make of that, ma'am?
Well, first of all, I haven't read those 1100 pages yet. These pages were passed to the public by the Ministry of Security of Mrs. Nancy Faeser last yesterday. And it is very astonishing that it was turned to the public because this Wednesday, on May the 7th, Germany will get a new chancellor and all ministers are going to be appointed new. So why she had to press this as one of her last acts, this is not to be understood, because from a political point of view, you do not do these actions in the last steps. But nevertheless, in Munich, the AfD doesn't play any role at all. It is correct that we can read in quotations or hear of quotations where the AfD is indeed a political party which is very opponent to immigrants and does not give or want to have immigrants the same rights as German people of birth have. But of course, this party has a lot of electors, and I think this is due to the fact that the Red-Green party of Chancellor Scholz didn't do a very good job at all in the last 3.5 years.
All right.
And
Dr. Evelyn,
therefore,
Dr. Evelyn, we appreciate you joining us and thank you for those insights. All right, moving on. Prince Harry has expressed a desire for reconciliation with the British royal family, revealing his father, King Charles, refuses to speak with him over a security dispute. In a BBC interview following his failed legal bid to overturn the UK government's decision to deny him police protection, Harry said he feared he may never bring his family back to the United Kingdom and admitted uncertainty over how long his cancer-stricken father will live. He criticised the decision as an establishment stitch-up and suggested King Charles could have resolved the matter. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, Harry and his wife, Meghan, have made several high-profile criticisms of the royal family. The Buckingham Palace declined to comment on reconciliation but noted the court had thoroughly examined the security issue. Harry said he still loves the UK but fears some relatives may never forgive him. All right, Mr. Keith was former UK Minister, is joining us at this point in time. Keith, appreciate you being here. Nice to see you. Enjoying a sunny afternoon in the United Kingdom at this point in time. Perhaps you're in Leicester. Well, King Harry, should have thought of these repercussions beforehand, isn't it? Now he's not welcomed in the United Kingdom. And if the royal family is not giving him any security, Keith, perhaps he can hire some private security. What's the deal here?
Good afternoon, Vinette, from London, and we're having an Indian summer at the moment here in the United Kingdom. I'm a big fan of the royal family, but a bigger fan of Prince Harry. And I was sorry to hear the results of the hearing. I watched the judgment being given. It was all about the process by which the Home Office committee decides whether or not to have security for VIP celebrities or Prince Harry. For example, if you came to the UK as a well-known celebrity in India, they would probably want to assess if you, Vinay Malhotra, was given special treatment, have extra police officers, as they say they will do for Prince Harry. But this is a family spat that really has to end. As someone who really does like almost every member of the royal family, I think it's sad to see this being played out on the BBC and internationally. What the king should do, I'm afraid, it is up to the king, in my view, is to pick up the phone and chat to his son. What Harry is saying is that he hasn't heard from his dad because his dad can't talk to him, because not only is his dad in theory in charge of the government, it's the king's government, even though he doesn't run it, but it's also the king's court. As you know, all the decisions are made in the name of the crown in the end. So what Harry is thinking is that, well, if it's the king's court and the king's government, the king can do something about it. But it's clear that he won't get this special protection, but I'm sure that they will assess before he gets here whether or not he needs that extra police security. After all, Taylor Swift had a police escort to go to her concert. So if it's good enough for Taylor Swift, I'm sure it's good enough for someone like Prince Harry, where there have been genuine sizable threats against himself and his wife. So I understand. I think we all understand what he's going through.
Keith, do you think that there's any chance of legal recourse that's available to Harry at this point in time? Or do you think that he has to resign to his fate?
I think the fact that he's got on television within minutes of this decision means that he's not going to appeal. It costs a lot of money, lawyers in the UK, and therefore I think he doesn't want to keep this going. If you saw the interview, it was a very, very sad young man desperately trying to get in touch with his family. Obviously, all of us, well, you, myself, others have children, and we have spats with our children. But when they're like nearly 40 years old, you'd think that this could be best resolved by people just picking up the phone and saying, by the way, I'm coming to Canada on the 28th of May, says King Charles. Why don't you make your way from California and let's have a meeting and discuss this? After all, you are my son. You've been through your parents having a divorce, your mother being killed in a car accident, all this attacks in the media. I think it's really now down to that human level. And as King of England, King of the United Kingdom, I think that he should actually be doing this. They should be getting together. Harry has put out his stall. He says he wants to talk to them. He wants a reconciliation. Somebody on the other side needs to say, come on, Harry, let's sort this out once and for all, because there are so many other issues we need to be talking about. Situation in Kashmir, what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in the Middle East. But the number one story in the British media is all about Prince Harry. So hopefully Dad will pick up the phone, give him a ring, they'll all sit down, they'll, have some hamburgers and chips when he gets to Canada, or what is it, the national dish of Canada, and try and resolve this matter. Let's move on here, because there's no point in going to court anymore, because he ain't going to win. He's going to lose if he appeals. I think he knows that.
Keith, how important is this reconciliation for the image of the royal family? We all know what transpired between Queen Elizabeth and Princess Diana. That left a lot of questions unanswered after she passed away tragically in 1997. From an optics point of view, how important is it for King Charles to reconcile with his own son?
Yep. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Vinay. You will know this. We have, little rows with our kids as they get older. Maybe they're bigger rows, but we try to resolve it. I think it can't be up to him to try and solve this. He's made a public statement now. I think it is up to the king. And I've met Charles on many occasions. He's actually got a big, big conscience, King Charles. And I think he should be reaching for that phone, getting his private secretary to ring up Harry and trying to resolve it. It won't resolve the security issue, of course, but maybe the answer is whenever he comes to the UK, he has to stay with his dad. And you know, if your dad in India had a palace and you were living in the UK and you rang up your dad and said, "I'm coming over to visit you in India," I'm sure that he would want you to stay with him. So this is a long-running soap opera. We need to bring it to a conclusion. I think it can only be done by the king. I think Harry can do so much. Something is stopping, something or someone is stopping Charles reaching for his instincts. Because Charles's instincts, I think he's a great king. I think he's a wonderful man. I think he has a lot to say in support of the ethnic minority communities. His daughter-in-law is an ethnic minority member of the royal family. He actually walked her down the aisle at the wedding. Amazing for the king to do that. So there is no reason why this can't be resolved. So let's get everyone together. Let's get them all in the same room and let's get this matter resolved. Maybe they can meet in Delhi at the Taj Mahal or somewhere else like that. But in the meantime, since he's off to Canada on the 28th of May, that's not far from California, I'm sure it can be resolved.
Keith Paz, always a pleasure seeing you, always a pleasure having you, speaking straight from the heart. Thank you so much. All right, well, moving on, voting closed in Singapore in a general election that is seen as the first key test of support for Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, who took office last year. His People's Action Party is widely expected to comfortably extend its 66-year dominance in the city-state. But the election is being closely watched for whether the opposition can make further gains as people express unhappiness over tight government control and a high cost of living. Wong, a US-trained economist who is also a finance minister, has appealed for a resounding mandate to steer trade-reliant Singapore through economic turbulence following US President Donald Trump's traffic hikes. The government has lowered its trade forecast and warned of a possible recession. Wong succeeded Lee Hsien Loong to become Singapore's fourth leader. Lee stepped down in May 2024 after 2 decades at the helm but remained in the cabinet as a senior minister. The first Singaporeans to cast their votes in the 2025 general elections were those living overseas, beginning with voters in Dubai, then in London. They were followed by Singaporeans in the United States who voted at 3 polling stations located in Washington, New York, and San Francisco. Mohammad Nazan Aslam, professor in strategic studies, is joining us at this point in time. Professor Aslam, appreciate you being here. Well, Singapore obviously is no stranger than the rest of the world when it comes to tackling the tariffs that have been handed out by Donald Trump. How do you think the new leadership is likely to approach this? And is that something which also will determine their destiny in terms of whether they will rule Singapore or not?
All right. Okay. First of all, thank you very much for having me in this program. Yeah, so I'm speaking from Kuala Lumpur. Actually, it's just about less than 1 hour flight from Kuala Lumpur to Singapore, all right? And Singapore was part of Malaysia before. Right, so yeah, we share lots of values and then in terms of politics, situation, and then many more. So I can share some insights, information. But as you asked me just now, actually, Singapore's situation right now actually very interesting, especially the growing numbers of opposition. However, I'm thinking the incumbent means Lawrence and also the government, which is PAP, who governed the country for so long since the independent will remain in power, right? Even though they have lots of issues, especially related to the hike of tariffs by Donald Trump. But it looks like a global phenomena that not happen only in Singapore, but it happened all around the world. However, last year, 2024, actually there are lots of elections went through many countries all around the world, even in America, even in Indonesia, in in many part of the world. But this year, Singapore, which is having an election, and the elections time come at a crisis time, right? And we should not forget that the previous election happened in 2020, which is during the peak of coronavirus, and now at the peak of the so-called the trade war between America and China, and also impacted to many countries, even Singapore. And the main issue right now for Singaporeans, they are very concerned about the increase of high living costs, the issues of the price, and also all sorts of things that impacted their life. But I can say that Lawrence Wong, he got like an economic and business background. He's also capable in govern the country and handle this situation with his vast experience and career in related business related field. And I think Singaporean might have a good future, but the interesting part is like a changing in terms of the growing numbers of opposition, but not up to change the government. So it will be a good situation when Singapore can have more opposition in the parliament, all right? And as we know, they can have actually as 5 p.m. today, all right, Singapore time, actually 82% have been the turnout of the voters out of 2.6 millions of Singaporeans. So this is a very good numbers, and I think with that trend and with the issues that have been brought, especially by Lawrence and PAP, the party that have ruled the Singapore for so long, and also when I look into the capabilities of the Workers' Party, which is the strong opposition party right now, and the issue that they brought into the society. So when we can conclude from this scenario that the current government will remain in power, but the increase maybe a little numbers of opposition might happen, but I believe 55 to 65% might be won on the PAP side, and they can get between 75 to 80 or more seats in the parliament out of 97 seats. Yeah.
All right, Professor Aslam, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Well, that's all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more news and updates from around the world. Thank you for watching.